Yes, so welcome back to Talking Turf. This week, as I said on the Facebook, we're doing a little bit different. We're going to interview a few local people, etc. Some uprising stars, some people who's been to hell and back, let's say. If you're interested, get in touch with us on Facebook, drop us a message on here, whatever you want to do. But as always, you've got 60 seconds. Grab yourself a cuppa, get a drink, do whatever you need to do, because this is just about to get interesting. See you in 60. Yes, welcome back to Talking Turf. And as I said before, we have an interesting guest coming on tonight for you. A story that I think everybody will find absolutely fascinating, but at the same time, that nobody would probably ever want to go through. So let's introduce you, right, everyone? Welcome back to Talking Turf. And today we've got a guest whose story straight out of a film. From Northumberland to proud paratrooper to working on the front line of maritime security and suddenly find himself at the middle of a Chennai Six jail sentence. He spent 5 years in jail in a foreign prison and somehow came through with strength, honesty, and a mindset. Tells you everything about who he is. His journey about resilience, loyalty, survival, and his rebuild afterwards is just unimaginable. Please, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us introduce you. But firstly, this.
Hell. This is hell.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have tonight Nick Dunn. Nick, how are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you for having me on your show.
Excellent, mate. I'm very pleased to have you. Listen, this has gonna been happening for quite a while, mate. I was always gonna get you on. I was absolutely intrigued by what was happening to you. And Lisa is obviously a friend of my sister Lindsay, as you know.
Yeah.
And I knew she always had that bulldog in her. But we'll come to that, mate. We'll come to it because this is all fresh to me, and I am losing my words a little bit, and but just stick with us, mate. Just stick with us because I want this story told, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I know that you've done quite a few before, mate, right? I know you've done a few podcasts, you've done a book, which we'll talk about, but you're from Northumberland, I'm from Northumberland, and I'm very, very happy to be able to have you on Talking Turf and push this out to a lot of people from our area will see it, But let's start at the very beginning, Nick, right? Let's start where it all started off. What is your earliest memory that hints at the kind of resilience or mindset that you would gonna need later in life? So let's start like from when you were born up till, say, a 10-year-old.
Well, obviously, as you know, I first originated spending quite a few of me early years from Linemouth, and then my mum, hard-working lady, my dad and mine, come from that 90s era where you're always out venturing, learning as a child the right, the wrong, and getting up to some mischief along the way. And I always wanted to join the military, because I used to play armies with friends and down the woods and set up camps, and you'd be like that little mindset of, oh, I want to join the army. You'd pick a stick up, and that size stick would determine what weapon that would be, etc. And it just steered me in that path to joining the army. You had the army be the best advert on the TV, Sunday afternoons watching old war films with me dad, and it just, that was me calling as a young lad. I just felt I want to get through school as quick as I can. Not that I went to school that often. Basically, I wanted to wish my life away to become older, so I could join the army. That's how eager I wanted to do, is joining the military.
So that being said, mate, like what do you think pushed you towards that? You know, like joining the parachute regiment as you were in, and what did the young you say, like, imagine life in the army would be like?
Well, I knew we're not being the tallest of guys, and at the time being a little scrawny person, I felt it was going to be a test. And I looked at what regiments that were the difficult, toughest regiments, and the parachute regiment is the best of the best in the army, apart from special forces. We are the creme de la creme, and the thought of jumping on a parachute looked quite interesting as well. But I knew I had to get my head into gear. I knew I had to train. I knew I had to, go beyond my capability. I had to, get injured to see how far my body could be pushed. And don't get me wrong, it was pushed to its limits, because to join the parachute regiment, you've got to sacrifice nearly your body to get the maroon beret. And I just felt I wanted a challenge, and that was my challenge growing up.
And like, obviously, we're seeing in later years that your sister obviously supported you in your toughest time and stuff. But back then, were you a close family? Was she very supportive back then? Because there's quite a gap, isn't there, between you and Lisa?
Yeah. There's like a 6-year gap between me and Lisa, and all my family were very supportive for me wanting to join the army. As I was growing up, we had Iraq happening, we had Afghanistan happening, and Northern Ireland was still going on. But the main focus was Iraq and Afghanistan. And as we all know, Ross Kemp did the Afghan programs, and that got a lot of parents to realize the dangers of Afghanistan. And yes, it does scare your family knowing that I may not come home. And I did get blown up in Afghanistan. My sister was in a Bifan. My dad picked her up at the airport, and he turned around and went, "Oh, by the way, your brother told us you just got blown up in a Land Rover." As casual as my dad could be, well, my sister has always been my little protector, as even though I was a band, she used to always fuss around us. So she was like a headless chicken. What is being blown up? But, I had to literally, while I was still over there, ring and reassure her, because she was flapping like a budgie. But the support that my family showed me during my time in the military was second to none. Some people are against it. Mine, well, it's your choice. I was old enough. We're going to support them.
Good. Looking back, Nick, what part of the military training shaped you the most, both mentally and physically?
Just parachute regiment soldier training. It's not like the rest of the green roll soldier. Ours is more, to get into your head, to create a new version of you, and leave all the weakness behind. As if you want to put it in that context, there's no room for error. You've got to be cut above the rest. And for me, looking at all the other guys, I was thinking, I have to prove not just to myself, but to them, I'm worthy. And I had to go beyond my capabilities, and it was worth every second of it.
Good. Moving on. Let's say 20 to 30. You left the army.
Yes.
the question I've got in front of us is, what made you choose maritime security work, especially in high-risk areas? But let's jump in the middle of that. From leaving the army to maritime security, what did you do in between? I.e., gym, quite a bit. Other work, potentially.
Yeah.
Before it comes to maritime, maybe maritime was in there somewhere, and then you'd gone back to it. How did your life unfold after you left the army?
So leaving the army, it's a culture shock. It's you lose your blanket because we're looked after by the army, and trying to just do things on my own accord was quite frustrating, so to speak. When things are wanting done in the military, it's done. When you want things done in Civvy Street, it's wait and takes time, and we get a bit chewed about that. They don't think outside the box, so to speak. So I went and done a security course. So I was just doing the odd security job, just to make ends meet. But my goal was to either work doing close protection work in Africa or say Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. And maritime only came about on the back of my grandma's funeral kind of thing. A friend of mine who I was in the army rang me and said, "How are you getting on with security? Or how are you getting on in life?" I just said, "Mom, I've done my CP, and I'm sending my CVs off and trying to, And he says, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing maritime, the piracy?" I was like, playing the dumb blonde kind of thing. What, Captain Jack Sparrow? He went, "Not as quite as dippy as him, but Somali pirates. You have heard of them?" I said, "I have vaguely heard, but I haven't really been going down that route. I was wanting to go down, go to Iraq and all that." But then he says, I've been away working for this company. It's quite good. I'll give you the details. Do you want to go and do one of their courses in Stoke?" So I went, all right, it's ticking more boxes. It's making us more employable, I suppose. So I took his advice. I went to Stoke, done the course. And then I started looking into maritime more. So there was other companies, and I was getting myself put on their books. So I was just making myself more employable. And then it just took off. I'm here, I'm there, I'm going abroad. I'm telling my family, they're supporting me. Obviously, for security reasons, I'm only telling them what they need to know. I'm providing security on commercial vessels, which that is in a nutshell. You know what I mean? So I'm not keeping a lot behind. But when you're working abroad and you're doing kind of that, your parents can kind of, you know what I mean, overthink a bit. And because I'm not under that protection of the military, there is that more chance of things going wrong. So other than that, my family were supportive, again, like they were when I joined the army.
So before everything went wrong, right, what was it like day-to-day? What was day-to-day life like, say, working on the anti-piracy ships? Was it?
Well, it is quite mundane. You don't realise how vast the ocean is, and you could look at the radar and you'll see other vessels. But as you can see, it's only 6 miles from where you are to the horizon, as they say, kind of thing. There's days where you'll never see a vessel, and there's days where there's vessels everywhere. You would do 2 watches. If you're in a team of 4, you'll do a 3-hour watch, and then obviously have 9 hours off, and then do your second shift. You're on the bridge, you're making sure that the able-bodied seaman there on the wings is an extra pair of eyes. You're just monitoring, making sure things are okay, drinking brews, having a laugh with the officer that's on board, Other than that, if there's a gym on the ship, you would train. If not, you would watch DVDs and just enjoy downtime. you do one transit, go to a place, maybe a hotel for a day or two, and then jump on another transit. That's kind of how maritime life was like. And if you had to leave country to go and fly to another country to pick up that ship, then that's what you do. And it was great going into different countries and coming across different nationalities. And I was enjoying it, and the money was good. Don't get me wrong, and it was enjoyable getting a suntan.
So there'll be people watching that haven't got a clue what maritime security is and what you're protecting, so to speak. So before we get into the nitty gritty, what in general are you protecting? And do you come across pirates? Are you really essentially needed? Is it quite prominent or what?
Well, during my time, it was happening, and it was starting to come into our media a bit, but it wasn't flashed all over the media. And a lot of our day-to-day items we get in our countries come via the sea. So the high-risk area would be from the Suez Canal down the east coast of South Africa, and then move across towards India, Sri Lanka. And obviously you got the Arabian Sea. So it's a big, vast area, and around these countries, especially around the bottom of the Red Sea, before you head towards the Horn of Africa, you get little islands, and these islands are called the Bab el Mandeb, which is around the country of Djibouti. And these Somali pirates would pinch fishing vessels. So they would disguise these vessels as just fishing, come across these commercial vessels, which if they could hold our oil. So when people complain, why is the oil prices rising? It's because their bulk carriers are being hijacked, and it's stopping the flow of goods and materials coming to our countries, which if they went around Africa, it would cost a lot more money and take a long, long time. So the Suez Canal, is a massive, big factor. So if you stop that flow of traffic, you're going to cause a lot of damage on a big scale. And the piracies, I only came across a few pirates, but they're sneaky. They're unarmed.
Oh, I tell you.
They're unarmed, and they're just watching. And people say, well, why would you want to be there? I said, because at the end of the day, a deterrent is, preparation. Prevention is better than cure. And a lot of these crews, when they realize we're on these vessels, they are absolutely at peace, because they are very scared. When there was a Vietnamese captain, had his arm chopped off because he wouldn't surrender the ship, and the shipping company wouldn't pay these hijackers. So they chopped his arm off and went, "You pay now, or we kill your crew." And they would get millions. They do, yeah. And then our prices rise up because the shipping companies want to make their money back. So to combat that, they hire people like me, where we've got weapons, legal weapons, certificate weapons, so we can use them in this rule, and they employ us to safeguard their vessels. We board it at port, we go through the high-risk area, and we protect that vessel, and then we get off and we go elsewhere. And it just happens like that, and yes, you might not come across any pirates whatsoever, but that's because you're doing your job.
Did you ever come across any?
I came across, but not where I had to use my weapon, because you don't realize how much time you've actually got. If you get on, and they'll have binoculars as well, don't get me wrong, they're not that stupid. So if I'm showing my weapon like that on the edge of the wing, and I come in this little skiff, little speedboat, they see that and they go, "Aye, nay bother, we're off," because they don't want to come into a firefight.
No.
They're drugged up on cat. We're soldiers, trained soldiers. We're on a sturdy platform. They're bombing around like that. It's going to be a turkey shoot.
Aye.
So
Honestly, did you have many successful trips then prior? We'll talk
yeah,
about that.
yeah, of course. I was living the dream, man. I was living the dream. I got sent to go to Egypt to pick up a vessel there when it was during the time where they were killing each other, and I was traveling elsewhere because I was already on the country, and they were getting free other people to join me from the UK, and they were like, they're killing people in Egypt, they're killing people in Cairo. Be careful, Nick. Be careful. I was like, there's no one killing no one here. And I thought, because it was all over our news saying they're killing people, in Egypt, Cairo during that time. And I was in Egypt, Cairo, and I was like, what? There's nothing happening. And I had to laugh. They went, we only kill people Monday to Friday. You're here, it's Saturday, week off, weekend off. I was laughing. I was like, you're killing people Monday to Friday because it's Saturday and Sunday. You're having a day off. I was like, I couldn't believe it. It's just, you don't realise what happens in other countries, apart from if you watch the news. But until then, you don't really know if you're...
You didn't really see that anyway. You only see what they want you to see, don't they?
Exactly. So when you're there, you see everything, and it's mental.
It's absolutely, that's a great story, by the way, mate. We're already 22 minutes in, and normally I would do, because what we do on here is we get people who sponsor through ads, and I would normally play the ads at 30 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the ads now, and then we'll come back in. We'll go all out. Chennai Six. Yeah?
Definitely.
2 minutes, 42 seconds. Grab yourself a cup or whatever you need to do. We'll be back in 2:42. Cheers. If you'd like to advertise with us like these following businesses have done, then get in touch with Melly or Gary. It's only $5 a show, and we're hitting on average, I would say, between 10 and 20,000 people per month. Support us, and we'll help support you. Melly's Carpets and Bed, 63 Station Road in Ashington. Free measures are available daily. You can call 01670 632216 or find us on Facebook. Melly's Carpets and Beds. Laying our reputation one recommendation at a time. BA Commercials and Northeast Metals Limited, where you can get almost any used car part. The best prices is paid here for scrap vehicles and metals. They have containers to rent short and long term from just £30 per week, as well as plant hire and also commercial buildings for rent. Call during working hours on 07825 405 772. GB Glazing and Joinery Limited, based in Ashington, Northumberland, but covering the whole of the Northeast. CERTAS approved, who specialise in windows, doors, warm roofs, kitchen, conversions, and conservatories. Call Gary during working hours on 07825 160 777. A1 Fire Stopping and Drilling Services, who specialize in installation and maintenance of passive fire protection, fire stopping, and thermal installation systems. You can email your query to Martin. That's at martin.gallen@a1firestop.co.uk. or call during working hours on 07751 429 045. A1 Fire Stopping Services. Ashington Properties, whose company mission is to create high-quality homes for the local community and Northumberland, and whose company values are transparency, trust, and loyalty. You can email them at ashingtonproperties@gmail.com or call during working hours on 07985 203 094. And last but not least, most cuts. You can call Lewis on 07519 077787. You can find him on Facebook, and you can also book through the Booksy app. You'll find them down in Newbiggin on Front Street, straight opposite Chisholm Bookmakers. Always look fresh when you get cut off Moz. Yes, thanks very much to all our sponsors. You can sponsor with too, like it said. Nick, welcome back, mate. Let's get into the nitty gritty. And
Yes.
speaking to you prior to the program, you can see how much this means to you. Like, as a reflection on you as a person now, what it's done to you, how much it's changed you. So let's get straight into it. When the situation in India began to unfold, what was going through your head? Was there any prior indication that you were going to get to a certain point and this was going to happen? Or was it like off the spur of the moment that came up? What? Talk me through it from the boat pulling up or prior.
Well, we were on a vessel going to Sri Lanka. We were informed, you won't be going to Sri Lanka. You'll be getting on board our floating armory / recuperation vessel that our company owned. So 2 days into coming down from the Oman to Sri Lanka, we boarded our vessel, the Seaman Guard Ohio, and then we downed tools, kit and equipment away, locked up, and it was like, just chill, wait for another vessel. It's a way of the company saving money, because these countries, they know what money we were earning in maritime, and they were charging ridiculous prices to hold our kit and weapons in their port. So if they can do it on a vessel, it saves a lot of money. So it was nothing really was happening. You know, there was a cyclone where the weather was pretty bad, the sea state was pretty bad, and under maritime law, you can seek refuge in a neighbouring country. That neighbouring country was India, and we'd already organised fuel and provisions for our vessel with the agent from India. So a vessel was to come to us and give us our fuel and provisions, which then saved more money from going into port. And then, you know, things is happening. You just go, oh, well, it's got nothing to do with me. You know, I'm just a passenger. And then I go to bed, and then the next morning, the TDO, which is the Tactical Deployment Officer, he's the guy in charge of the security, and Paul, one of the British guys, he rudely awoken us all and said, just to let you know, guys, we've been boarded by the Indian Coast Guard. They've said nothing, but they've told us to go to the port of Tuticorin, which we are following suit. Their vessel had us at gunpoint. He was with a weapon on the bridge, and he wouldn't interact. It was, you port now. We don't know what was going on. From where we were to where the port is, it would take us, it's say 10 nautical miles, or about an hour and a half, something like that. I realised we were going ever so slow. I asked Paul why we're going slow. He says, that's got me thinking as well. And the reason why we were going slow was because when we came into the port of Tuticorin, we had a massive welcoming committee on port side. This wasn't just the police. This was media, people that worked at the port. And as we found out, different police and maritime organisations from as far as Mumbai. And I'm thinking, how are they getting here so quick? But you're trying not to start thinking of things. You just go, right, okay, I know these kind of things happen in these parts of the world. I'm not ignorant. You know, the bribery and stopping us because we work abroad just so the police could get a little bit of extra money, you know, for, oh, your passport's a little bit frayed, and, you know, because, you know, in them countries they're poor and they see us do a job and they just want to try and extract a bit of money out of it by their way of justifying a visa stamp, you know what I mean? So you want a visa stamp, we want money, let's make this go away. But if you're trying to talk about it, you're going to be bribing a police official and you can land yourself in hot water. So it's kind of like, ooh, how do we work this out? How do we make this go away? So we initially just thought it might have been that and we're coming to port side, but no, it wasn't that. Something serious was arising and we was just told, just keep out the way, because you don't want too many people, like the saying goes, too many chefs spoil the broth kind of thing. Keep out the way and I'll inform you what's going on. And as the days go by, we're in port, you've got different organisations going, there's nothing to be had here, because we were saying, right, just to let you know, this is a vessel. These are all security guards. There's 25 security guards, 35 people on the vessel. Obviously, the other people are the crew, captain, etc. We showed them the weapons, the ammunition, the certificates that goes with the weapons, and out of the 35 weapons, this is how the police kind of justified. Well, there's 35 weapons and 35 men. Well, no, there's 35 weapons, but 25 of those people can use those weapons. You've got to have more than one weapon because, things could be used as spare weapons, or you've had more security come on board, but the client might have said, I don't want an armed transit. So you're leaving the weapons on the vessel. So that can be why there's more weapons than people who can actually use them, but the police didn't say that. They were like, something's not fucking right here, pardon me French. But we, as person, are just like, what's going on? Like, what is actually going on here? So days go by, they then remove the weapons. So, this happened on the 12th of October, 2013. Yes. So, yeah, we're still on the boat. We're just docked. So 4 days, they removed the weapons. Other security companies there's nothing to be had here. The local boys, Q branch, was starting to think, hang on, we're starting to look a bit like a bunch of dicks here. And then they just went, right, we've found the weapons. And then they've just created a monster there and then, because they've clearly been tipped off for something and it's not going right. And they're starting to look a bit embarrassed. But we just think, what's going on here? Have they found something? Has something not been right? I shouldn't need to know things. I just need to know, right, this is what I've got. Yeah, I shouldn't be questioning, are things legally? They should already be legally, because that's what a company has to do to enable a service. So as me, as a security officer, why do I have to ask? But that's by the by, you just think, oh, right, okay, and then, as the days go by, you're just thinking, wait, what's going on here? And then on the 18th of October that's when it all happens. That's when it's not going to get better. It's only going to become worse. And that's when Paul went, right, you know where you're going, because they said we're going to remove you all to go to the hospital. Paul instructed us. He says, look,
who's Paul?
Paul is the tactical deployment officer, so he's the guy that's in charge of all the security. He said, look, lads, we're going to get removed off the vessel. I want you all in your uniforms, like the T-shirt with the company logo on, because we're representing the company. Want to look professional, because there's going to be media. And if we just look like a bunch of rag dolls, it'll not look good. So we're representing the company, let's be professional, which we were. And that was it. So it was make your phone calls, but you can't take your phone. You can't take your wallet. You can't take your belt. Some guy couldn't take his wedding ring. Some guy couldn't take his reading glasses. So common sense prevails. You know you're not going to the hospital. You know you're going to get lifted.
Wow.
And then that's where, you know, the time difference, we were 3.5 hours ahead of UK time, which they were sleeping. And then when I had to make the phone calls to my family, that's when my life went to shit.
Mate, it's unbelievable. So you know when you're at the dock and you said you had 3 days leeway to wait for the next vessel.
Mm.
Did you leave the boat?
No. Like, so,
On the boat.
so we would be sailing around the ocean, and then you would meet that other commercial vessel if you were going to be boarding it.
So you never left the boat at any point?
So no. So when we were at port, we couldn't leave that vessel at all. So we're at port. So that's me when I left the country in September 2013. Yes, I like to go to the gym, whatnot. But we got arrested in October 2013, the 12th of October. So I'd already done a transit. I'd already done a job. I was on my second job before I boarded the Seaman Guard Ohio. And then a few days later, we needed fuel and provisions. And then after that, we got told to go to the port of Tuticorin. And then we started a nightmare, which it was getting worse and worse as the days go by, and it wasn't going to get resolved. You know, like, people say, well, the captain shouldn't have disrespected the police and shut himself off from the police. He locked himself in his cabin. And I'm thinking, I can say this in hindsight now, after living through it. It wouldn't have mattered if the captain was going, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. And I can say that was true, honestly.
No matter what.
We were getting arrested regardless. Simple as that.
We'll come to why you think it all happened near the end. But
yeah.
Next up, I just want to know, what was the toughest part when obviously you're getting jailed, you've made your phone calls to your family, but you're in prison in India, in a foreign country. I mean, it's bad enough in England, even though like a lot of say that it's not really, but in a foreign country, your initial thoughts when you get took through the cell, the physical conditions, the uncertainty, or there's something else. What? Like, you're getting took into the jail. You're with your lads off the ship. What was your first thoughts, and talk about like the conditions, etc.?
So when we first got lifted from the vessel, we were in the police station for a long time, and then after that, we went to the court. And then this guy came from the court, said something, and then we were back on the buses, and then we were going to prison. We spent the first couple of days in Palamcourty prison. And this prison, when we arrived at the prison, I think around 11:30 at night, it looked horrific. It looked scary. It was built under British rule, because I could see it showed the day that and I was like, we're going to a prison that probably hasn't changed since British ruled India. And when they found out 6 British were coming to their Hotel California, they were more or less doing cartwheels because they were like shoes on the other foot, bitch. And I was like, and when you look at it, you go, we're gonna die. We're gonna die in here. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're just in this. We got brought into this big room, like an outhouse thing. Minus 35 of were. There's a hole in one hole in the floor, and that's the toilet. There was like a little trough where you would be able to wash. You were given 2 sheets. Clean. And 2 sheets to lie on. So, well, you say they're clean. You know, is anything really clean in India. No, it's not. But we're just, it was during the night time, so you just think, oh, it's been a long day, you'll try and sleep, but not everyone can sleep because there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of people were starting to think there's little squabbles and this, that, and the other, and you're like, well, let's not, and we need to just try and sleep as best as we can, start afresh the next day. And then when you open the cell in the morning and you see the prison, you just think, I'm actually in hell.
Wow.
I'm actually in hell. That's horrific. That's how it is. And the conditions is very bleak. It's not like the prison in the UK where the things are pretty very mundane. Like you get like a metal cup, a spoon, and a circular like dog bowl kind of thing. The food, they couldn't even make a jacket potato. It was still hard, So like the vegetable that you see there, that's to feed 6 guys, But initially, we were all together, and it was a different kind of like setup back then when we first got arrested to later on. But it's still horrific in its own right. I'll never forgive myself for using my own hand to wipe my own arse, because that day happened, and it's the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life. Because we didn't have any toilet roll. Didn't have any toilet roll. You know what I mean? It was just, I felt disgusted with myself. But it's something that you have to do.
Like you've just said there, this is hell in the morning. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to touch on it because it's not something I'm touching on tonight. But in Britain at the minute, we have some problems, don't we? Let's say with immigration, etc. So over there, like, do they hate you, or do the Indians hate you, or we got a good friendship with them, or what?
We were in the state of India that despises British rule.
Really?
They've never been able to accept British rule. We were in the worst part. And I got told by Indians, the only reason why you're still here is because you're in a state that despises British rule. If you were anywhere else in India, this wouldn't have begun, and you certainly wouldn't have spent 4 years in India. So it was kind of, everything was against you from the get-go. It was horrific. To be classed how they perceived us and lied about us as terrorists, criminals. The very people I'm trained to fight against.
So are you padded up with them? Are you segregated? Are you put in your own? And then in British jails, like, you wake up in the morning, you put your light on to get an education, and a couple hours later, you might get a little bit of association time, pool, etc. Dinner time, you go for your dinner, you come back, and then you've got gym time in the afternoon, and then it's association at night time, and then bang up from 8 o'clock onwards. Talk me through the day in India. What is it?
It's wake up 6 o'clock, the cells get unlocked, and you can just mingle around the prison in your little courtyard kind of thing. And originally, in the first ever prison, we were where the foreigners are kept. So we were the first ever British people, English people to be there. There was Sri Lankan Tamil tigers. There was Nigerian gangbangers. There was Iranian meth dealers. There was, a ragtag, a bunch of different criminals that might have committed wrongdoing. There was people overstaying their visa. See, in the UK, we let people overstay their welcome. We give them a passport. In India, they chuck them in prison, and then till you won't get out of prison till your fine's paid, and then you get deported. But it's all right. But we had many people, especially the Nigerians, coming up to me because they were reading things in the newspaper. And they were like, can you get us weapons? Can you get us weapons? Because they've read we're selling weapons to fishermen and stuff like that. And it's mad to see that, to experience that. And I'm thinking, I've got these criminals coming up to me. Like I'm Paddy and I'm here. I'm like, get away from us. Who the fuck are you? Kind of thing. You know what I mean? But you can't stay angry forever. You've got to think, well, they don't know any different,
Did they end up becoming friends, or were you looking over your back?
Oh, it was champion. We're playing cricket, cricket with and someone had a football, so we could play football. There was so there was a bit of grass and they just back in your doorway, and you put a towel down or something, make some nets, and they did that, so majority of the time you were just sat wasting your life away, and you're in dirty conditions and you're not getting food.
The whole time you're probably sitting thinking, what's going on? Is anybody helping us? Am I ever going to get out of here? So,
yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely,
Nick, and you get bailed. Let's talk about that. And this is
This is me, and after 6 months. So obviously we get convicted in October the 18th, 2013, and this is April 2004. After 6 months in prison, where we were hardly able to eat food. It was either eat dal 3 times a day, or try and conjure up some like stew kind of food that we made. And don't get me wrong, we're not Gordon Ramsay, and we did give ourselves the batch of D&V, and that was absolutely horrific. I've never seen 23 men get ill so quick in my entire life.
So you get bit. What happens? What happens to the
So in April we got granted bail, and we left the prison after 6 months. So we were put in a hotel, and the bail conditions were very stringent. There was a massive bail bond to be paid. They had to have guarantors that we weren't going to escape the country.
Did Maritime do that, mate?
No. We had over people from the company at the time. That was the only time that they actually did something. Other than that, they just left one with arse. But you've got people in the UK starting to, raise awareness, especially like my sister and some of the other families at the time. Like I said, I don't even know what is going on in the UK, because I've got more concerns about what happened to me mum, because obviously she's 5 days before Christmas she suffered a double aneurysm, and I'm in prison for a crime I've not committed. So other things that's happening in the UK I don't even know, but I'm on bail. I'm able to use Skype to speak with my family, but I'm sat there going to the prison, the police station, signing bail twice a day, and then the days, the weeks, the months go by, and then we get to July 2014, and the case gets quashed. I've got no charges. I'm free, so to speak. But then we find out, because we're battling against the police, government, etc., they've got an appeal time of 90 days. So if they don't appeal by 90 days,
you're home.
Over, I can come home. So we've just got to slug it out a bit longer. Yes, it's financially taxing, especially on my family, because the company wasn't paying me. So that they were kind of discarded from us as being any help. So for people who kindly helped donate any money so I could pay for a hostel, I thank them from the bottom of my heart, you know. And but a majority of the time it was to raise money for our legal team. Excuse me.
I find it hard. I'm sure you've just to believe, and God knows what you must have felt when a company not only doesn't have your back, but then kind of just drops you and they don't want to know anything about it, and you're just stuck in India. And
Yeah,
because ultimately, like when all the charges is squashed, so to speak, then they'll have insurance, and the insurance would have paid out. So I cannot understand for the life of us why they wouldn't just pay for your hotel and then claim the money back on insurance. And I'm sure all you 6 have got exactly the same questions and wondering why. And have you ever getting back in touch with them, or you just thought, right, now you've cut ties, that's it?
well, at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot going on in your head. You know, you just want to think of getting out of the country, and, you know, insurance policies, this, that, and it's not something I was thinking about at that time. You know, I was just thinking, wait, I want to go home. I want to see my family, because and then people were saying, well, if you get home, would you still consider doing it? I was thinking, well, yeah, because it was just a short space of jail time, so to speak, you know, and I thought, well, I know I haven't done anything wrong. This will be all cleared up. This will be all right. And like I say, you know, we've got to wait a couple of months. And then we'll be home free. Yes, it's been a bit taxing. Yes, it's been a bit crap. Would my family can't say, look, if you're going to do anything, try and bloody be on land and not at sea, or try and work in the UK. But that's not something that was happening at the minute. And then, you know, as the day is getting close to day 90, we've had a meeting with the British Embassy lady, and that come down from New Delhi. And we're talking about this 90 days, and we're saying, look, we've got no charges. You know, you've got to help us try and get, you know. And then the lady from New Delhi turned around and said to us, and went, I don't think they'll appeal. And we looked at her and we're going, you've not been working with them. You know, like in the first prison, before we got bail, the jailer came to our cell and said, right, lads, you've got bail. And we're like, what? And then it was tea time around 4, 5 o'clock at night. We went down with all whatever we had belongings to the main entrance. The superintendent came down from his office to go home. And he says, what are you all doing? Jailers told us we've got bail. He went, no, you haven't. Get yourself back to your cells. What that does to your mind destroys you. So forgive me if I said I wouldn't trust whatever comes out their mouth if my life depended on it. Mm-hmm. So you can understand while that lady, Michaela, said, oh, I don't think they'll not appeal. Well, she was absolutely wrong, because on day 88, I sound like that guy of Big Brother there, on day 88 of 90, they lodged an appeal to the Supreme Court. And because we're battling against a government/police, they heard it. So that's another mental effect it puts not just on us, but our families who were 2 days away from seeing us again, 2 days away from freedom, and they go and appeal. So therefore, they've got to put charges back on us. Then it's going to be, we need to know what's going on. So it's now gone from nothing to a case up in the Supreme Court. And you think, well, hopefully there'll be justice served up there. Fingers crossed, surely. But let's just say it was just another chapter to the bigger nightmare.
Nowadays, you know, like people, you know, the struggle with just being told no. you know, like in society now, if they get told no, then you know, like they're taking strops and for them to come in your most vulnerable point and say, "I've got bail," that's absolute shithousery. To then bail you eventually and say after 90 days you can go home on day 88. So it brings us on to my next question, Nick. How do you keep your head straight during them darkest moments, mate? How, like,
well, my military training has helped me massively, tenfold. Because when you're in the military, you've got to have, you know, a strong mind, that willpower to keep going when, you know, the chips are against you in life. And we'd been served in an awful thing in life, being accused of something you haven't done, and to fall into a foreign country's legal system, you know, fine well, it's not going to be the same as the UK judicial system. So it does play its part on mentally affecting you. But you've got to, for me personally, I had to just be a bit selfish on my family, so to speak, because I feel if I kept on thinking about my family, it would instill weakness and make my time in India harder than it already is. You've got other people that is part of the groups, their heads are starting to go. As time goes on, it becomes more financially harder for us because we are not being paid. Men are having to think, I might have to tell my wife, we're going to lose the house because they're the bread earner of that family. You've got people with kids not being able to see their kids. You know, I've got my mum who I have to wait till the young time of the morning because of the time difference to speak on Skype because she can't just speak. So I have to wait for my sister to help so I can have a video call. That affects me because I don't care about me. I care about my mum. She's nearly died. That's all I care about. But I've got to keep mentally strong. I've got to not, you know, let myself go to where I could get arrested. You know, if I'm being too emotionally. But I don't want to be sat in my hostel room festering because that's not good mentally either. And you know, like I can only speak for myself, but it as the days go, it was becoming mentally harder.
I totally understand. You know, my mum had an aneurysm and I wasn't able to get to her for whatever reasons. This is your podcast, so I'm not going to go into that. But I get it. I get it. Like I get the feeling, and you know, you're saying there. You were. This is going to sound absolutely mental, but you were kind of fortunate in a way that I never took into consideration that the guys that you were with might have had mortgages, might have had kids, might have had wives, you know, like their livelihood, their homes, you know, like the dad's gone over there and the house is not getting paid for, they can't afford the council tax, they can't afford the car. And honestly, mate, it's, you know, like I was just saying, nowadays, society's soft as hell. Like that would be enough for people to commit suicide. Was that something that you or any of the guys ever even thought about, or did you have to try and stop it, or what? Like, is it like, honestly, mate, I've listened to your story, like
it was horrific.
Now where you go read stuff
yeah.
like that and hear things like that. I've never actually sat like I have now and listened to your story. I'm gonna be honest, because I've read so much about it, I felt that I knew everything about it. But you've just opened my eyes completely, and I just, you know, like, no, unbelievable.
When the times are going, and you know you're not gonna, you've got to admit we ain't coming home anytime soon, right? So another year goes by, half a year. Time is just, your time is stopped. Someone has got you and just gone, pause. My family made me a promise. They said, we're going to not let you know what's going on. Christmas was cancelled in my household because why tell me what's going on? That's going to mentally destroy me because my life is stuck here. So why tell me of good things? Yes, you can find things with social media, but and when I was there, I was not bothered about the other side of things, and I didn't have what the other guys had. My heart went out to a lot of them because seeing their faces, seeing them feel like I can't protect my family. It was horrific. I can only think about what I was doing, and I was pig sick. I got in touch with someone. I can't name names, but it's someone who I've worked with. And he went, just to let you know, how far away from Mumbai are you? I went, well, the only way I can get to Mumbai is train, and that's about 18 hours. And I think I go through 3 different states to get there. It's a risk. He says, right, this is going to be dodgy, but I can get you a passport with all the ticks in the boxes. It's going to cost $5,000. And I spoke with my family because I'd been attacked by the police. I was locked in my cell. I was just feeling shit. I was selfish. I cared nothing more apart from me getting to see my family. I couldn't care about anyone else. I literally couldn't care. I was at that time where, to hell with everyone else. This is me. I'm innocent. Not bothered anymore. I want to be home with my family. My mum nearly died. That's all I cared about. But I spoke with my family, and they were like, look, we can, try and give you the half. Because I had to give half up front, and then when I got there, give the rest, and then get the passport, fly out, and then get me home. But the thing about India, it's state ran. And then the realization started to creep in. What if I get stopped? How do I explain this? They will use that against me. Well, if you're so-called innocent, why are you trying to flee the country? So I got in touch with the penny dropped with me, and I instead of emotionally thinking, I went back to logically thinking, and I went, look, the idea, it's fantastic, but I'm not running. I'm not running the risk of being caught and having that used against us, because not only will I be the most hated man on earth, it could hamper the whole investigation and make matters worse. So
there.
Yeah.
Why has he done that if you haven't got anything to hide?
Exactly. So I made a calculated decision and go, right, look, to beat them at their game, I have to play their game. Mm-hmm. I'm not willing to participate. I've got no option to not participate. So let's go. Let the courts decide, because that's what the woman in charge of the investigation, Madame Q Branch, said to me in person when I went for a meeting. That's the courts decide. So let's go.
So let's talk about that then, Nick. You're on bail 90 days, 88th day, they're putting the appeal in. What happens then?
So it goes to Supreme Court, and everyone will become a split faction. Tensions are running high amongst the group. People are starting to squabble, get into fights. People who are in accommodation with each other to make it less financially straining on each other would break up. I'm now obviously living on my own. I was sharing a hostel with 3 other guys. The Estonians get their legal team together. We get our legal team. The police get theirs. It's going for a showdown in New Delhi. That's too far to travel. So we use the communications with our legal team to find out what's going on. So in India, for those who do not know, it's run by a caste system. So it doesn't matter if you're better than this person. They might be from a better family than you. So our legal team was the best money could buy. However, the Estonians' legal representative was from a higher caste than our caste. So the judge already knows where we're standing, because all we have to do is reiterate what we've never changed our story. We're sticking to our guns. We are here for provisional, fuel and provisional only. That is it. That's all where it came for. The police are trying to say that this, that, and the other. And then so the judge goes, right, okay, they talk about it. He goes, right, why was the vessel there? All he had to say was for fuel and provisions. That's 2-1. 2-1, we win, we go home. We might make it for the Christmas. Well, he turns around and says, I don't know why the ship was there, Your Honour. I'm here because the Estonians are on that vessel as guests. They are only, crew. They are not. Well, the judge has stopped listening to the ramble you've just said after I don't know why the vessel was there. So the police are saying one thing, we're saying one thing, and their legal team saying another. That's 3 different things. You've left the judge with no way apart from, right, we need a trial to find out what's going to happen here. And when the judge said we're going to have to have a trial, Q Bunch were doing cartwheels because it goes back to where it began and the police run the courts. We were just thinking, what on earth are these? And I felt ever so shit because I gave the Estonians all the fucking paperwork for their legal team because I thought it would help. And you know how horrible that makes me feel? Because I've kind of want to send us to fucking prison again. That's how horrible it makes me feel, that they couldn't be trusted to just bloody tell their legal team to see fuel and provisions, nothing more. So that, in its nutshell, among the camp, causes animosity. We're not coming home, and not by a long shot, because we don't know when this trial's going to begin. All we know is it's going to be back in Tutankhamun, where it all began, in the lion's den. How do you win against them when they run the court? Madness.
You've got to be thinking they're not ever going to get out.
Not at this rate, no.
Like surely, like the British embassy, they're there to represent the British. Surely they could have getting someone for you if your company didn't. You would think that, though.
You'd like to think that. You'd think that's what they could do as a British government. Honestly, you would. But no, no.
Right, I'm trying to get into America. I can't get into America because of stuff that I've done when I was younger, stupid daft stuff. But I had to go down to the American embassy last year to plead my case, and Americans there listened to what I had to say, and they went, "Sorry, I cannot let you go." And that is America.
Yes.
You would think that the British embassy in India would be doing exactly the same for anybody that's stuck in a situation, especially like yours, where you're working on a vessel. So if anybody's to blame, it's the vessel and its owners and its captain, and not the workmen.
Exactly, but that's not how India perceived it. There was 35 men.
What was there? What were they wanting out of this? What did they get out of it in the end? Did it end up getting chucked out, or did you serve the time that you were given?
It got thrown out. The case got acquitted. That means wrongful imprisonment. The arses got handed to them eventually, but the damage had already been done.
So was your company held at any point?
No. They just left us. They left us to rot. They owe me a 6-figure sum in wages.
And compensation.
I want, in compensation, I'm not asking for a stupid amount of money. Give me full pay for 4 years of loss of earnings. That's six-figure sum
So have
to
you got
what
a
I was earning.
certificate for that?
No, there's no absolutely. It would cost an arm and a leg. They bankrupt themselves, and then they transferred all their assets to a different company name whilst we were in prison.
Are you screwed then if they've bankrupted the company? That is pure shit house, that like.
That's it. We found that out when we were in prison. How does that make you feel? That is their way of not paying you a penny. That is disgusting.
As if you haven't actually gone through hell.
Yeah.
You know, when you get set, so you just get sent back to jail. It's kind of like a remand. There's no time given.
No, like, so the start a trial, which is the trial where you get convicted, you do the time plus all that included because you're a foreigner. So when they've done the trial, so we spend another Christmas, and then January 2016, you're thinking, yes, we could actually win this case. And then they sentenced us to 5 years. We would have completed our 5-year sentence in 2021. You know, so the time before you were convicted, they do not add, they do not subtract from your sentence. So 6.5, 7 years or so, I would have lost my life for nothing. It was bad enough just doing 4 years and 2.5 years prison time, because when you're innocent, that's how you feel. If you're guilty of something, hand on, I'm guilty, I take it like a man. But when you're innocent and you've done nothing wrong and your life's been ripped apart, that destroys any man. I don't care how big and strong and mentally hard you are, it destroys you.
I just want to show a couple more pictures because, like, this is your second stint in jail, and you are looking, you've got a bit build about you there. You're looking quite well.
No, because we were able to eat a bit more. We had a prison shop account, and people would.
You had a gym as well. To be fair,
yeah, we built a gym. And it got dismantled on 2 occasions, and then we went down to tell the superintendent, "Listen, we're building a gym." Right, because they had the feeling the Indians would use it as weapons. I'm thinking, who are they going to be hitting? You know what I mean? Who are they going to be hitting? So we made a little gym.
What's this here? Just explain what you've got, what you've built yourselves here. What is it?
So we've got like a little barbell which we would use for like bicep curls and tricep extension. So it was like a bit of wood, and then we found this metal, this plastic thing, so we put it over. Where them stones, as you can see, there was like a rockery plate. We pulled them out of the ground, and one of the Ukrainians got his spoon, and at the bottom of this metal spoon started shaving it, making it sharper, and kind of we started just chiseling. We made like it, and then found some metal, used that. So when there's 23 people sharing and doing that time, you can make a hole. So we're able to make like a hole.
What else is in that picture that we cannot see, Nick?
There's just like little bits of half of them, so you could do like side laterals. There's like a bench which is built up of bricks. We'll make a big tree trunk and use bed sheets and big fully bits of brick, and then it looked like your bench press and stuff like that. So we improvised a bit, because the gym for a lot of people does help mentally, and with us being able to train in the gym breaks our prison day up a bit, because you've got 12 hours where you're not locked up, and you got 6 hours kind of thing when you are kind of locked up, or like 12 hours, I should say. But, I would rather be able to walk around the prison, do a little gym routine, and then go back to the prison cell, because in the night time, we had like dot-to-dot books, and you'll be responding to mail, reading books. We got loads of books sent in from different people. People getting parcels. I like always ask my family whether it be my sister coming to visit me in prison, or just in general if she sent a parcel, try and chuck a book in, because it gives with something to read and break down my day. You know what I mean? There's some classic books in there, like, and that was by my bed space, the library. You know what I mean? But it's not like the UK prison where there's a bit more for people to do. A lot of the time here, we're battling the ants, the mosquitoes, the heat, and other foreigners trying to attack you.
Heat daily?
Sorry?
What was the heat daily on average?
About 30 degrees plus. One year, it was nearly 50 degrees, and it was just ridiculous.
You look like me as well. You look like you've got ginger skin. Am I right in thinking that?
Well, I did have a bit of dark, but I'm not ginger. I'm more like a dark blonde with a bit of ginger in. You know,
I mean by ginger skin. I
tan. Oh yeah. I was climatized. I was tanning there, like. Yeah. The good thing about
I'll be walking around like him off SpongeBob.
Yeah. The good thing about it, the mosquitoes didn't really affect me like it did to a lot of people. But you've got rats, and the amount of times we're told the superintendent, the rest of the Indian prisoners are chucking their shit and not getting rid of their food. It's attracting rats. What do rats bring? Diseases, you know. And the last thing you want is a rat infestation. There was snakes. Fucking clean water. We got the big bottles of drinking water. That used to cost us 20 pence for one of them off our prison account. God knows how much a 20 litre, you know, for the water. God knows how much that costs in UK, but it used to cost us 20 pence. But it's not cold; it's just lukewarm water.
Aye.
We never had a cold drink. Can't have a cold drink. You know, sharing a cell. You know, hole in the floor for a toilet. Washing yourself with a bucket. You know, I could. You know, and then they would use other techniques to try and break it down. They would switch the power off, so no fans, no running water. So we had to conserve water.
What did you
wash? That was it. Bucket wash, 20 litres bucket wash. And then when there was a shortage of water, you conserve. And I could wash my whole body, and I grew my hair long. And that, you know, in 10 litres of water. You might think, oh, it's 10 litres of water. You try washing yourself properly with 10 litres of water, you know. And they'll do that for like a day. And then, just before lock up, the power magically comes on. Just in time to get locked up. So all day you're just like that. And it's just to break you down mentally, because they couldn't do anything else. If the dare touched where we would have pretty had this big Estonians flinging prison guards all over. But, you know, like I say, tensions do run riot. They do run riot in them situations as the time goes by, you know. But it was all done by design to try and make us suffer more and break us down mentally.
I just don't know why you would want to do that to another human being. I just can't get my head around it. But they do it. It's you know, maybe there's an ulterior motive. Nobody knows. There's got to be reasoning behind it. And
hindsight's a wonderful thing.
I always thought that the England and India had pretty good relationships. So when I heard that you'd been locked up and that the government were involved, I thought, well, this will bring an end to it because the relationship's quite good. But then, you know, like it just can't show you.
They had over 50 meetings. 50 meetings in regards where we were brought up.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Wow. think the government owe you an explanation as well, mate, to be fair, not just your maritime security and...
Yeah, the government just didn't do...
Nothing.
No, they could have done a lot more, I know for a fact.
Oh, 100%. So, Nick, you literally survived hell, mate. It's over. So, who comes in and tells you it's over? Where do you go from there, and what happened? And then moving on, carrying on from that, I'd just like you to tell me, when you finally returned home, what surprised you most about adjusting back to normal life, let's say?
Yeah, so we are in prison again, and it's a year. Another year goes by on the judge trying to make a decision. That's another psychological way of breaking it down, because imagine that in the UK, where the judge is refusing to make a decision on the outcome of our appeal. So we're just in prison, and the captain had bone cancer. So we used another legal passage to try and get our case heard. So his case was to get released, to go to a private hospital and get his family to come and see him. So while our case is waiting to be heard for our appeal at the High Court, his case goes up all the way to Supreme Court. And the highest judge in all of India, Mr. Chief Justice himself, hears our case and goes, words to this effect: why are these still in my country? Well, our legal team went, well, Your Honour, if you would like to look at the High Court here. And he went, I want a decision date within 2 weeks. A week later, we get told it's on like Donkey Kong. And that's what we used to refer to. The Judgment Day is upon us. The 28th of November 2017. Judgment Day. Monday. The Sunday night. We're all sat in the cells. People reading a book or this, that, and the other. The radio, we had a little radio, and they were playing rock ballads. And I've always liked this song, but this song to me, it has a different feeling now, because when this song came on, that's when I knew it's the beginning of the end. And when the song The Final Countdown by Europe came on, I stood up in the cell off my little red stool and said, listen, lads, it's over tomorrow. Because I just felt, it's like I got this injection of positivity, and I wanted to spread it amongst the guys. And I could understand why they were a little bit apprehensive and we've been, and I understood that. That was granted. And then no one slept that night. The next day, you're going all day, and we find out there's 40 cases and we're number 40. So surprise, surprise, they are still true into mucking us around. And here we go around the merry-go-round. So I'm doing some training, and then I walk around the compound each set. So I'm walking around. I see Paul's been leaving the cell. I say, Paul, what's up? He goes, superintendent summoned us. Because they always used to see him as the leader of us. Because he was technically the second in command on the ship. Well, he was in command of all the, the security. So the captain didn't want nothing. So the police just went, you're in charge now. So he was at bearing it all, bless him. And then I was like, all right. So, funny enough, I'm coming round again. He comes in, and I tell you what, it breaks me. Even when I remember it as crystal clear. He comes in the compound, and I say, what's Fatty said? Because the superintendent was quite a large man. And he went, get your shit packed together. The embassy's coming to get you, you know. But, you know, like...
The hairs that I've got are just stuck.
You're training, you know what I mean? You're training and you're getting told case acquitted by the guys. No, you're being told case acquitted. And then obviously, you know, the next day, sorry, I got myself a little bit confused. You know, it's a little bit emotional at times. I know. You know, I get told, you get told, right, it's done, case acquitted, it's over. You know, case acquitted means wrongful arrest and imprisonment, words to that effect. And then you get told the embassy's coming to get you the next day. They're there. They're down there waiting. And I was just thinking, I've been here before. I'm not playing their games. So everyone's running around like headless chickens, packing what belongings they've got. I've been training. So I'm going for a bucket wash and put me because I picked a T-shirt that I'm going to wear for my release, and I never wore it apart from the day I was released in. That's the T-shirt. Yeah. I grew my hair for 2 years, and the reason why I look kind of clean shaven there is I was at that itchy stage of where you're growing your hair back. So I was annoyed. I was so annoyed because with the heat and all that, I just shaved it all off. But I wasn't under the impression we were going to get released the next day after being given the case acquittal, because normally they wait for the paperwork. But the judge has gone, get them out now. And we've gone, wow. But so... everyone's going down to the main entrance and you just see the embassy and all that, the foreign minister coming from New Delhi, the director of prisons there, you know it's over.
It's different.
It's judgment's been served.
Aye.
You know, it's an amazing feeling after losing 4 years of your life for nothing. You finally now feel what freedom really is, and I know what freedom means.
So the flight's booked to Newcastle. I'm going to play this, Nick, for you. Sit back and relax.
Words can't describe how I feel. I'm on cloud nine, as I said, and it's all down to my sister. She's made this possible. I was quite calm, actually. I wasn't anticipating me being so calm. It wasn't until I got to the door there that's when I kind of just hit it, you know, and seeing my mum. Well, I just want to just really relax with my family, you know, and I think a lovely hot bubble bath's on the cards for tonight. You know, it's something simple that we all take for granted, and I'll never take that for granted ever again.
Wow. Eh?
It still feels like yesterday.
I bet it does.
Yeah. It was magical. Oh, it was magical. I hadn't slept in nearly a week of being full of adrenaline. And anyone who's been to a Dubai airport, because I had to go from Chennai to Dubai, and I tried to change my flight to where I only would spend an hour and a half in Dubai, but because it went up past midnight, the embassy says everyone has to leave today, immediately. So that was our way of India's been having a good slap saying, look what you've done. So they're kicking us out of the country as quick as they can. So I spent 6 hours in Dubai. Anyone who's been to Dubai, everyone knows you can get a Wi-Fi signal. I couldn't get a Wi-Fi signal with my phone. I had no money because I had no bank card or anything like that. And I had to play the victim for someone to feel sorry for me. And they gave me a cup of coffee, an Americano. And I had to make that last so long because I hadn't slept in a week. I was full of adrenaline. And I was thinking, I've got to come home. Imagine me missing my flight, how that's going to go down. Because my sister had said, look, how Newcastle Airport are saying, because obviously with your mum and all that, do you want a back door entrance or do you want the main door entrance? And I said, I'm an innocent man. Why do I want a back door entrance? I want people to realise what the injustice that I and the other guys have been served. Plus, I want to say thank you for everyone's amazing support. Without people's support, I would have struggled more. Yeah. You got me home, the people. You kept me going. You know, you didn't cross the finish line behind me. You crossed it with me. People from around the world writing to me in prison. People in the UK writing to me in prison. My heart says thank you so much because you gave me that fight to come home to my family. Because with the 4 years, they were doing everything in their power to mentally destroy us. And I can say, hand on my heart, they've achieved it. They have. They've achieved it because of the scars and the effects that what's happened caused on me.
That's how I want to close this the show tonight, Nick. I want to ask you last final question, if you didn't mind, is after everything that you've lived through, what's the one message or lesson you want people to take from your story going forward? And how's it affected your day-to-day life now, mental health, socializing, etc.? At the end of that, if you don't mind telling me, what is the one lesson or message that you want to send out to everybody, please?
Well, for like what it's done for me, it's left its scars. I still think a part of my soul is still in India that I'll never get back. What they done to us was pure evil. They knew fine well we'd done nothing wrong, but they wanted to make that we were bad. They wanted to show the world that it doesn't matter what you think of us, we can do something and we can destroy anyone. And it was during the trade deals between India and UK, and I know for a fact we were part of the trade deal. So we were political pawns as well, you could say. And it's affected me. You know, as the years have gone by, trauma doesn't happen just in a blink of an eye on the back of something bad. Trauma can, happen years down the line, like it did to myself. I have tried to take my own life because of it, and it's something that I couldn't avoid it because I couldn't stop myself. The demons came for me, but fortunately I prevailed. And I'm still here, but it's something that is a part of me. I've accepted, and in every negative, there's a positive. Yes, I reflect. I can talk back about a negative thing, but so much good has come from it. I've met some amazing people. I've come to write a book. I have been invited to do this, do that. But at the end of the day, with all good things that happen in life, unfortunately, can come on the back of something bad. So you can't always be all down in the dumps and doom and gloom, but you do have to think, how much of my life do I need to sacrifice to get the good? And like I say, I'm still in that. How much more do I need to sacrifice to get something really good of what I've been through? Or should I just accept it and just pretend, and just try and forget about it? I will never forget about what's happened. My mum is my gentle reminder, because I can't have a normal conversation with her. That is my gentle reminder. You know, when the dates come up in the calendar, that's my gentle reminder. The pain, the suffering, all comes back. But I try and just say, you know what? You can't dwell on the past, but try and use it to get good from it. And that's what I try and do. And yes, I'm healing, but healing cannot be rushed.
Do you speak to people and I think what people might want to know is, do you keep in touch with the other lads that you're in with?
There's one or two people that I might talk to now and again, but what I always say to that kind of question is, everyone was brought together because of this situation, and it's affected us all in many ways, some worse than others. And I, just like hopefully everyone else, I wish everyone Godspeed, and everyone, if they are struggling, to seek help accordingly, because I keep having myself told, Nick, do you realise what you've really been through? And I do, but I try not to let us think too much, because it's there. And
you take yourself to the gym, haven't you?
The gym keeps me going and life. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna deny, and I'm not gonna shy away that it has affected me. It has. It's made my life at times hell, you know. But I have to live with it. It's a part of me.
But you survived it, Nick. You came through it, and if you can come through that, you can come. It's easy for me to sit here and say that to you. Like, mental health is a serious, serious problem in the UK, and there's not enough help out there. But, like, I'm sure I speak on, like, many people's words here by saying it's good to attack. And if at any time that you think that you can attack anybody, just send a random message to somebody, random, me, whoever, and you'll always get a reply. There's always people there. But now that I can feel lonely, and like you're on your own, and nobody wants to listen to it. But like I say at the gym, just when I'm like, you might not believe us, but I do suffer anxiety, right? And it's normally people like me that suffer it. And what I do, you've just got to try to face it, haven't you? Head on. And like,
I've been diagnosed with health anxiety, and it was horrible, because it felt my body was going through like different ailments and stuff like that. And that's when I started looking into anxiety a bit more, because I never thought this was ever going to ever happen to me. Mental health this, mental health that. Never. No way, like, even my wildest dreams, never thought that would affect me, but it has, and it affects us all in many different ways. But yes, you've got to face your anxiety head on. You can't, you've got to go head on, like a boomf, take it on. Because when you fight against it and not accept it, you are making it worse, because you're fighting against yourself. And you've got to just accept it.
And talk.
And talk. And that's, with our critical thinking, that's not what you're meant to do. You're meant to fight it, but to battle anxiety, that's exactly what you've got to do. It's mental. And it's mental. That you just got to accept it. And then next minute, your panic attack is over, if you're having a panic attack.
Aye.
You can think clearly. You can do your day-to-day tasks. No one should suffer in silence. No one should. And
Society now, isn't it, mate? Society's got everybody thinking like, like everybody leads a perfect life on Facebook, and like that's not the case.
Stop living this perfection life. There's no such thing as it. Happy medium. That's all you need in life. Happy. When you've got your happy medium, you're fine. But don't let something bad just take your legs away. I know it's easier than said than done, and I'm guilty of it myself. But you've got to just go, you know what? I need to face my fears. I need to face my problems. I need to ask for help. And that's my take on, mental health. That's my little message. But the other message is, if you want to read about it, get on Amazon, get it booked.
Yes, let's do that quickly before we shut up. Let's show people your book, Nick. This is Nick's book, Survive in Hell. You can get it on amazon.co.uk. Literally, you can type in Survive in Hell, as it says, or Nick Dunn, it comes up, or Chennai Six, whatever you want, in Amazon, and get the book. Or get it on, I tell you what I've downloaded lately, and I did it while I was on holiday. You'll laugh at me list, to be fair. Like, I'm busy listening to the Bible for Dummies.
All right.
But I let them I listened to The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yes.
Have you read that? Have you listened?
I haven't read it, but that seems to be quite a very popular book. Yes.
I'll definitely get onto that. Can you get your book on there? That's where I'm going to. Let's have a quick look, should we?
I'm not too sure if it is. I think it just might be on Amazon. It should be elsewhere, I think, because it's not so. It's a published book, so it shouldn't solely be sold on Amazon. I think Waterstone sells it as well, but Amazon is the go-to place because everyone uses Amazon, and I think that's why it's mainly sold on Amazon. But
it's not on there, but maybe that's something that you could do, like is get is do that as well, because on that it's the authors that speak the words.
Yeah. Well, I'm speaking to someone to try and get it all facilitated into an audio where I will narrate it. And my sister said she'll do her part, which is also in the book. So it's not just me yabbering on. But yes, it's definitely an achievement of me, because they say everyone has a story to tell. Some are willing to share it. And the reason why I did my book is because so many people were wanting to know what really happened, word from the horse's mouth. And that is it. That's it. Word for word, horse's mouth. And then there you go, and from what I've been told by people who know me and have heard my voice, when they're reading the book, they can hear my voice in it. So it makes it more interesting, because it's not just someone just telling a story and it's just like that. You feel like you're living it through my eyes, kind of thing. So
I definitely have the night, mate. I'm gonna be honest. I'm over the moon that you came on. I've always wanted to get you on. Since you come back, there'll be a lot of tension around you, and I knew I'd get me moment. And tonight was
yes.
Fascinating story. Literally summed up in 2 words: survive in hell. Get it on Amazon. Nick, you've been an absolute gent, mate, and I wish you nothing but success and peace for the rest of your life.
Thank you so much, Melly. I need peace, because it's transformed my world. The highs, the lows, the good, the bad. But this is me, and I just want to use something bad and get the good from it. In every negative, there's a positive.
Well, I'm going to end on this, Nick. We're going to end on the end credits. So for now, it's the final countdown. See you later.
Turn on now. Thank you.